The dingy walls of my prison cell seemed to close in around me as I sat in the suffocating silence, haunted by memories I couldn't escape. Above me, a single light bulb swayed on its cord, back and forth, the only steady thing in my chaotic world. From somewhere in the distance, a bell chimed, its melodic sound offering a brief moment of comfort, like being wrapped in a mother's arms. Heavy footsteps echoed down the corridor toward my cell, and instinctively, my body tensed, preparing for what was coming. Her voice echoed in my mind, those final words she'd spoken, "I love you, my beautiful angel." The memory of what I'd lost, what I desperately wanted back, played on repeat. The metal door groaned on its hinges as my captor appeared. "On your feet, you worthless piece of trash. Time to prepare dinner," the voice cut through the air like a blade, cold and unfeeling. "Mr. Alexander's in a foul mood tonight, so you'd better make it perfect," he added with a grunt. I gave a silent nod, slowly pushing myself upright. My tangled hair fell like a curtain around my face, and my bones protested as I shifted position, arms trembling as they supported my weight. I met the guard's cold stare, seeing the accusation in his eyes as clearly as if he'd spoken the words aloud. "This is your doing. You could have saved her. You should be the one who's dead. You earned this fate." As if I needed reminding of the guilt and despair that consumed me every waking moment. Carefully, I slid my feet out from under me, wobbling slightly as I stood, though I didn't flinch when my bones ground together painfully. Pain had become my constant companion. I'd learned to live with it. My hands pressed against the cold floor as I struggled to my feet, unsteady but determined. Step by agonizing step, I made my way toward the guard, squinting against the harsh light that streamed from behind him, casting his face in shadow while highlighting his cruel features. "Move it, bitch. I haven't got all day," he snapped. I nodded again and quickened my pace as much as my battered body would allow. When I reached him, his thick fingers clamped around my wrist like a vice, digging into my flesh hard enough to make me gasp. He hauled me roughly up the stairs, not caring whether I could keep up or if I got hurt in the process. His rapid pace meant my bare feet slammed into every step, leaving fresh cuts that sent streams of blood trickling down my already wounded toes and heels. As we reached the door at the top, I nervously tugged at my threadbare Paramore t-shirt and worn sweatpants, trying to make myself presentable. With empty, pitiless eyes, he yanked the door open and shoved me through it before slamming it shut behind me. I swallowed hard, keeping my gaze fixed on the floor as I limped toward the kitchen, each step sending spikes of agony up my leg. My feet carried me to the kitchen, and when I looked up, the sight of the gleaming appliances made my heart lift momentarily. But knowing that my captors found pleasure in my suffering, I quickly let my brief smile fade back to its usual mask of misery before beginning my work. I opened the refrigerator and carefully removed the pre-marinated 2-pound steaks one by one, arranging them on foil-lined baking trays. I slid the first batch of 10 steaks into the oven and set the timer, then turned my attention to the elaborate 6-tiered triple chocolate cake I'd prepared the night before, delicately placing candy roses on each layer. When the timer chimed for the steaks, I paused my cake decorating to swap out the foil on the trays and put in the second batch. I carried each plate of perfectly cooked steak to the dining room, then returned to finish the cake. Using red icing to match the crimson roses, I carefully wrote, "Happy 18th birthday Hunter and Mariana Alexander," in elegant script across the tiers. I left the finished cake on the counter for the pack members responsible for the dining room setup and continued preparing the rest of the meal. After finishing all the steaks, I worked on creamy mashed potatoes, rich gravy, and fresh salad. When the knife slipped and cut my hand, I barely paused, just stepped away long enough to apply a bandage. After everything I'd endured, a small cut was nothing. I was setting out the last of the food when the thunder of approaching footsteps filled the air. My eyes widened slightly as I scrambled into the corner of the room, pressing myself against the wall. I lowered my head, hoping desperately that they wouldn't notice me, that I could remain invisible. They burst through the doorway like a pack of wild animals, shoving each other playfully as they laughed with genuine joy lighting their faces. Their laughter died abruptly, their footsteps becoming more cautious. "Please, God," I prayed silently, "don't let them see me." A warm, perfectly manicured hand slipped under my chin, forcing me to meet a pair of ice-cold blue eyes. Well, look what we have here, Mariana drawled, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Her fingernail traced along my cheek in a mocking caress, her lips twisted into an exaggerated pout. My hands clenched into fists as I fought to control my rage, while the others snickered at my expense. Noticing my balled fists, her brother Hunter spoke up with cruel amusement. "Look at that, the little reject's getting angry," he said, pointing at my hands. A vicious smile spread across Mariana's face, her dark brown hair falling around her shoulders like a funeral shroud, wisps floating in the air. I tried to pull away, but her nail dug into my cheek, leaving a thin, stinging scratch along my hollow cheekbone. Mariana gasped dramatically, "Look what you've done, you worthless whore." "I just had my nails done." She snarled at me. "What will my mate think when he sees my ruined appearance?" she wailed, gesturing wildly at herself and her nails. I looked her over, seeing her perfectly styled chocolate brown hair, those cruel blue eyes, red-painted lips curved in a scowl, brand new form-fitting clothes, and what appeared to be barely a scratch, if any damage at all, on her manicure. I stared up at her in confusion, saying nothing. "Listen, bitch, if my mate rejects me because of your stupidity and clumsiness, I'll kill you with my own hands," she threatened, her voice deadly serious. "I refuse to end up a pathetic reject like you." Without warning, her hand connected with my face, sending me crashing to the floor, my cheek burning. I couldn't stop the tears that welled up and spilled down my face. Usually, I could hold back my crying until I was safely back in my cell. "Stop that sniveling, you slut," Hunter sneered as he grabbed me and slammed me against the wall, my head connecting with the sharp corner edge with a sickening thud. Mariana approached me, wrapped her fingers around my throat, and pressed me hard against the wall. My desperate gaze found Aaron, the beta's son, silently pleading with him to help me, to remember that he was supposed to be my brother. He looked directly into my eyes, then deliberately turned away, his expression cold and unforgiving. A brutal punch to my stomach snapped my attention back to Mariana. She released her grip on my throat, letting me collapse to the floor, then began kicking me with vicious intensity. Blood filled my mouth, making me gag and choke. I coughed up crimson droplets, struggling to breathe. When Mariana finally stopped her assault, she handed me over to her brother, who grabbed me by the hair and began dragging me away. I cried out and searched frantically for Aaron, Adam, and Axel, praying they would intervene and save me like they did in my dreams. But as always, my dreams were just fantasies, and they stood there watching me get dragged away to that terrible room. They continued to stare at me with those accusing eyes, as if they were still trying to tell me this was all my fault, that I could have prevented their deaths. Mariana followed us into the kitchen, lifting one of her 5-inch heels and driving it into my stomach, forcing a groan of agony from my lips. I didn't resist as she kicked me repeatedly, twisting her heel into my flesh, or as she continued to degrade me. I deserved every bit of it. I accepted it all because of course I deserved it for being the weakest member of the pack, their greatest vulnerability. Someone grabbed my shoulders and slammed me into the opposite wall. I slid down slowly, feeling a sharp bolt of pain race through my spine. "I warned you to watch yourself," Hunter growled menacingly. His cold fingers wrapped around my neck as he sneered down at me, and I tried desperately to breathe, but he only tightened his grip. "Why do you constantly anger everyone? Tell me." Hunter snarled, his canine teeth extending through his gums in a threatening display. I shook my head frantically. Please," I gasped, trying to loosen his hold on me. Suddenly, I felt a sharp, burning pain in my lower abdomen. Looking down to find the source, I saw a knife buried deep in my stomach, and nausea overwhelmed me. My eyes widened in shock as I struggled to move my hands, trying to remove the weapon from my body. Hunter's hand reached the knife before mine could, and he twisted it cruelly, forcing a scream from my throat. The sound tore through me like wildfire, burning my throat raw. I thrashed against Hunter's grip, my breath coming in ragged pants, blood filling my throat as it tried to escape through my clenched lips. I was experienced enough to keep the blood from overflowing past my lips. The knife pushed deeper into my stomach, slicing through me like I was nothing. My entire life flashed before my eyes, all the pain, the misery, the endless suffering that had consumed me. It wrapped around me like a fog of self-hatred. Why was I so weak? Why couldn't I defend myself? Why had I never fought back? Why today? Why? 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 My head snapped back as the stinging pain in my stomach intensified, and I let out another groan of anguish. Hunter roughly grabbed my chin, jerking my face toward his sister. Mariana pursed her lips and spat directly onto my face, looking at me like I was the lowest form of life on earth. You should never have been born, she said with a sneer. You bring nothing but pain and misery to everyone around you. You should have died the day you came into this world. You're the reason everything is wrong in our lives. In that moment, I believed every word she said. Hunter carelessly yanked the knife from my body. He ran the bloody blade down my cheek and under my chin, lifting my face to meet his gaze. Why don't you just die already? Hunter planted a wet, disgusting kiss on my cheek and left me there in my agony. I collapsed to the floor in a gasping heap, my body shutting down. I felt one final kick aimed at my stomach before I slipped into merciful darkness. Hissing through clenched teeth, I carefully applied disinfectant to my wounds. The stinging sensation was nothing compared to the beating I'd endured earlier. I stuffed a pair of socks into my mouth, then grabbed my dislocated shoulder and popped it back into place with a sharp motion. A single tear escaped from the corner of my eye. Why me? I thought desperately. What did I ever do to deserve this? They should show me respect. I am the beta's daughter. Don't listen to their lies, Savannah. They don't care about us, so why should we waste our energy caring about them? My wolf spoke to me, her voice filled with hatred. My wolf, being a beta herself, despised the way we were treated and never hesitated to show her displeasure. It caused both of us pain to remember our life before death claimed our family. My mother had been serious but gentle in her speech, and incredibly loving. My father was almost her complete opposite, boisterous, loud, and a legendary jokester who could transform any tense or awkward situation into something lighthearted and fun. The only thing they truly shared was their complete devotion to each other and their children. It was as if their souls had been created as two halves of the same whole. I could say with absolute certainty that even if they had been human, they would have found their way to each other. I had 3 older brothers, making me the only girl and the youngest child. My eldest brother Aaron possessed the overprotective and possessive nature that all betas carried, but he was also annoyingly funny and incredibly sarcastic. The second oldest, Adam, was loud and constantly joking around with everyone. The third oldest was my twin brother Axel, who was humble and funny, and had always been my closest friend and confidant. Though if you ever saw him in a fight, you'd never believe he was class president and a straight-A student. The tragedy had struck on my 6th birthday. My parents had just given me a beautiful gold chain necklace as a gift, and I was practically bursting with excitement about the party. I knew I shouldn't have gone to that place alone, but I did anyway. I knew I was breaking the rules by going there without supervision, but I ignored my better judgment. As I walked toward the lake, I didn't notice the shadow that was following me until it was far too late. The wolf launched itself at me without warning. I screamed and fell to the ground, praying to God that I would somehow survive the attack. White-hot agony ripped through my stomach as I hit the ground, the weight of the wolf crushing down on me. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the weight vanished, and I fell into unconsciousness. I awakened in a sterile white hospital room, with 16 stitches holding my stomach together. That's when they told me that my parents had died protecting me, and that moment marked the end of my fairy tale life and the beginning of my nightmare. Sighing deeply, I forced myself back to the present and focused on treating my wounds. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and applied the antibiotic cream to the gash. Opening my eyes, I examined the long, deep cut on my abdomen and slowly moved the needle toward it, stitching my wound closed as tears streamed down my face, my teeth biting down hard on the socks in my mouth. I repeated this agonizing process 4 more times for the other gashes covering my body before finally allowing myself to lie down and rest. As I lay there in what was probably not even close to the weakest state I'd been in over these past years, I kept thinking about what might have been, just what if things had been different. Chapter 2. I ran a comb through my thick, light brown hair, letting out a weary sigh as I did. Another day at school meant another day of beatings and endless suffering. I wondered what their reaction would be if I simply disappeared one day. They'd probably throw a celebration, my wolf said bitterly. Would they even notice if I ran away, let alone if I died? I brushed my fingers over the gold necklace at my throat and looked into the cracked mirror, seeing my gaunt face, sunken cheeks, and hollow eyes staring back at me. It's no wonder they hate me so much, I thought to myself. Why would anyone care about the pathetic, ugly servant girl who was responsible for getting their beta and his mate killed? I shook my head and quickly pulled on my oversized hoodie, hoping to redirect my thoughts away from those dangerous places, though it didn't help. A long, tired breath escaped my lips as I shuffled toward the metal doors. I opened the door slowly, knowing that any sudden movement would increase the pain I was already experiencing. Moving up the stairs at a crawling pace, the guard followed behind me, monitoring my every step. I'm not sure why I call him a guard, he doesn't actually guard me. He's only here to ensure I make it upstairs to complete my chores and schoolwork. Sometimes, when I'm too badly injured to walk up the stairs, he has to carry me. Otherwise, he's off with his family and friends, I assume. When I reached the door, I lowered my gaze and opened it, knowing that no one would want to see my face this early in the morning. I fidgeted with my fingers nervously. Hey, everyone. Look who's finally decided to grace us with her presence, the witch herself, Mason, one of the pack enforcers, said with dripping sarcasm. I stood there motionless, accepting their comments as if they meant nothing to me. Bitch, look at me when I'm speaking to you, he growled angrily, shoving me roughly. Easy there, Mason. You don't want to make Hunter any angrier than he already is, Aaron warned, not even bothering to glance in my direction. He's already furious about not finding his mate yesterday. I looked down, feeling a pang of sympathy for Hunter despite everything. We werewolves have only one mate in our entire existence. Mates are like soulmates, they are your forever, your other half. You meet your mate on your 18th birthday, at the exact date and time of your birth. Both the male and female detect an irresistible scent that draws them to their destined partner. Once they find each other, they become extremely protective of one another, with the males typically being more possessive than the females. Alpha males, the pack leaders, and betas, the second in command, were the most possessive and protective of all. Having powerful wolves, they rarely rejected their mates. My parents had been true mates. There are rare instances where mates are not compatible, or one of them doesn't return the other's feelings, and rejection becomes necessary. In those cases, even if the human sides reject each other, their wolves still maintain the mate bond. So if the humans decide they want to reconcile, they still can. However, as I mentioned, this rarely happens. Hunter left early for school this morning, hoping he'd find his mate there, Axel said, joining the conversation. Mason sighed but nodded his understanding. This isn't finished, he said, following Aaron into the dining room. I pulled my hair back into a loose ponytail and made my way silently to the kitchen, not wanting to disturb any pack members who might still be sleeping. Once I entered the kitchen, I got to work preparing the pack's breakfast. After cooking bacon, eggs, waffles, toast, and cutting up fresh fruit, I arranged the platters in the dining room. I prepared 20 cups of coffee, placing them in the appropriate spots since each pack member had their designated place at the table. Soon enough, the aroma from the food drew people into the dining room. I breathed a sigh of relief as everyone began chatting happily, paying no attention to me. The teenagers and younger children finished their meals and lined up in front of me with their hands outstretched as I returned their completed homework assignments. Next time you do my homework, make it more realistic. Do you honestly think any of us have time to put in the effort for A-level work? Shelley, the self-proclaimed future alpha female, told me rudely. Shelley was one of many girls who believed they were destined to be Hunter's mate, and she was their ringleader. I was secretly pleased that none of them had been chosen, because that meant fewer beatings for me. I nodded in agreement, knowing it was safer to comply than to argue. I was aware that the grades they received from my work could get them into excellent colleges, yet none of them ever thanked me or showed appreciation for what I did for them. My stomach rumbled loudly, and I frowned as I pressed a hand against it, trying to quiet the growling. As people began to leave, I collected their dirty dishes and loaded them into the dishwasher. The plates that didn't fit in the dishwasher, I began washing by hand. When I heard the beep from my watch, I knew I had only 2 hours before I needed to start the laundry. After cleaning the last dish, I went to prepare lunch for the adults. I made a fresh salad for the women and prepared over 150 sandwiches for the men. When my watch beeped again, I made my way to the laundry room and began loading the first batch of clothes into the washing machine. While they were washing, I carefully climbed the stairs to the last room on the right, which belonged to Xavier, the Alpha's youngest son, an adorable 9-year-old boy. "Xavier," I called, knocking on his door and waiting to be invited in. "Come in," Xavier shouted cheerfully. I entered the room and looked down at the brown-haired, blue-eyed boy who was sitting on his bed, already dressed and ready for school. Smiling warmly at him, I asked, "Are you ready for school today?" In response, I received a brilliant smile and an excited grin. Laughing softly, I held out my hand as Xavier grabbed his backpack and pulled me out of his room, practically dragging me downstairs. Since I was forbidden from attending school, because I didn't deserve to further my education, their exact words were, "School is for people who actually have a future ahead of them. We're not wasting years of education on you when you could be doing chores and taking care of the rest of the pack members." I had cheerfully accepted the responsibility of caring for Xavier. Xavier was the only member of the pack house who actually treated me like a human being rather than a punching bag. I'd been taking care of him since he was born. The Alpha and his mate were too devastated by the loss of their betas, my parents, and they had gladly given me the job of raising their son. Don't misunderstand me, they adore and cherish Xavier, but after my parents' death, they were never the same people. None of us were the same anymore, and we all needed time to grieve the loss of our parents. My wolf growled sadly at me. "I know," I responded to her, "but we don't have the right to grieve since we are the reason our parents are dead in the first place." I snapped back to reality when Xavier and I reached the bottom of the stairs. I led Xavier to the kitchen to feed him breakfast before taking him to school. "So what do you have planned for today, Xav?" I asked him as I sat down across from him. "Well, I have this huge math test today, and I might ask Lily to have lunch with me," he answered shyly, a light pink blush spreading across his cheeks. "That's wonderful, Xav," I said happily, grinning like a proud mother. He looked down, completely embarrassed. Smiling at him, I gently ran my hand through his hair. "I'm so incredibly proud of you, Xavier," I said, getting emotional. "Really?" he asked hesitantly. Shocked by his question, I stared at him. "Why wouldn't I be? You're a straight-A student, you're funny, charming, and handsome. What more could anyone ask for?" I stated firmly, looking directly into his eyes. His lips curved up into a satisfied grin. A loud beep sounded, and I stood up. "Finish eating, I just need to switch the laundry loads," I told him. Xavier's happy expression faded into a frown. He understood how the pack treated me and hated it, but what could a 9-year-old do to help someone in my situation? After quickly changing the laundry loads, I returned to Xavier. The drive to the elementary school was quiet and somber. It always dampened Xavier's spirits when he witnessed how the pack members treated me. He seemed to think that if I was sad, he should be sad too. Once I dropped Xavier off at school, I headed back to the pack house. I returned to the laundry room and started the final load of clothes. After loading the new batch, I began ironing and folding the already washed clothes, organizing them into neat stacks according to their owners. By the time I finished that pile of clothes, the washer signaled that it was done, and I transferred the wet clothes to the dryer. I spent time cleaning the kitchen appliances, counters, and cabinets while waiting for the clothes to dry. When the final load finished drying, I ironed and folded those clothes as well, then began carrying them to their owners' rooms. Afterward, I hand-scrubbed the kitchen floor before moving on to clean the living room and bathrooms. Once the cleaning was complete, I started working on the pack's taxes and bills to get them finished. By 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I was completely exhausted and headed for my room. The guard was waiting for me when I opened the door. He took my arm and helped me down the flight of stairs. When I reached my room, I discovered a stack of papers and textbooks on the floor next to my cell door. I picked up the books without sighing or complaining and began working on the numerous essays and math problems. Fortunately, for the purpose of completing the pack's homework, I had been provided with a laptop and printer. I moved to my shabby desk, turned on my lamp, and got started on their assignments. Brittany Tanner had written her name neatly on the paper and outlined exactly what assignment I was supposed to complete for her. At 3 o'clock, I had finally finished half of the stack of papers and decided to take a brief break. I logged into my email account and found one message waiting for me. My eyes widened with happiness when I saw who had sent it. Dear Savannah, I'll admit your last email made me furious as hell. They have no right to treat you the way they do. You're their family. What happened wasn't your fault. You were only 6 years old. What could you possibly have done to save your family? Your pack is disgusting, and they don't deserve someone like you. You are beautiful, and you know it. Believe me, you've sent me your picture. How can your brothers treat you like this? The way they refuse to defend you is absolutely sickening. I'm sorry, I know you've told me a million times not to insult your pack and brothers, but I can't help myself. You are far too kind and admirable for your own good. Listen, my offer still stands. My entire pack agrees that you should come live with us. I've told them all about you, and they genuinely want you to join our family. Just leave that hellhole and come live with us. I would never allow anyone to treat you the way they do. Your pen pal, Bain Matthews. P.S. How's Xavier doing? Looking at the email, I had no idea how to respond to him. I couldn't believe that Bain's pack actually wanted me to live and join their family. Someone actually wanted me. Tears filled my eyes as I smiled through them. Glancing at the clock, I quickly closed the computer screen and headed for the stairs. It was 3:15, and I had to go pick up Xavier. Slipping into my beat-up Acura, I drove to Xavier's school, managing to arrive just as the dismissal bell rang. Xavier ran toward the car with an excited grin on his face and a note clutched in his hand. Hey, Kai. Xavier greeted me happily. Hey, Xav, I responded warmly. Who's that note from? I asked playfully, glancing at him occasionally while driving. A bright red flush filled his cheeks as he stared down at the note, a silly grin spreading across his face. It's from Lily, he mumbled, looking down at his lap. What? I didn't catch that, I said, teasing him. He sighed, his fingers playing with the note in his lap. It's from Lily, he repeated more clearly. There, I said it, he grumbled. I laughed at how embarrassed he sounded. Well, what does it say? I asked while wiggling my eyebrows as I turned right, heading toward the grocery store. She wanted to know if I wanted to go see a movie with her on Saturday, he whispered, a smile returning to his lips. Wow, that's only 2 days away. You fourth graders work fast, I said teasingly, earning a smile in return. While the rest of us are going online to find dates, you kids seem to get them within minutes in real life, I added jokingly. You're getting old, Kai, Xavier teased back. Once we arrived at the grocery store, I grabbed a shopping cart and began walking through the aisles, gathering all the ingredients needed for tonight's dinner, lasagna. Why do you have to do everything in the house? Why do they treat you this way, Kai? I hate seeing this, Xavier declared as he noticed one of my bruises with disgust. It's just the way things are, Xav, I told him quietly, not wanting to upset him further. I made a terrible mistake when I was younger, and this is my punishment. But it was an accident, right? He asked. I nodded in response. Then why are you being punished for it? I shrugged my shoulders, unable to give him a satisfactory answer. Let's get going, I said quietly, heading toward the checkout counter. Chapter 3. I carried the final tray of lasagna out of the kitchen, leaving it for the other pack women to take to the dining room where they would pretend they had prepared the meal themselves. I made my way to Xavier's room, carrying a small plate of the cooked dinner and a tall glass of water. Knock, knock, I said as I entered with a gentle smile. Hey Kai, come on in. I just finished my homework, Xavier said, closing his spiral notebook. Thanks for helping me study before my test yesterday. Your notes really helped me ace it. I nodded and placed the glass and plate in front of him, smiling warmly as I felt satisfied knowing I had helped him succeed with his studies. Hey Kai, do you ever wish you could go back to school? I froze momentarily at his question before softly responding, yes, I do, but it's impossible. I don't have time to attend school and complete all my responsibilities here. His expression fell at my answer. He opened his mouth to speak, but I interrupted him. Zav, please finish your dinner, I pleaded gently. He sighed but nodded anyway. But only if you eat with me, he said, raising an eyebrow and giving me a playful glare, a smile on his face as he negotiated with me. I returned his smile and shared some food with him. When he finished eating, I stood up. All right, bedtime. He pouted dramatically. But Kai, I'm 9 years old now. I don't need a bedtime anymore. Yeah, that pout really supports your argument, I told him, laughing. His pout deepened even more. Okay, my little man, time to get some sleep. I love you, Kai. I wish you were really my sister, he whispered. Me too, handsome, I whispered back. But I thought I already was. You are. We're just making it official now, he said, smiling at me. I closed Xavier's door softly behind me after giving him a gentle kiss on the cheek. Walking down the hallway in the dim light, I didn't notice anyone was ahead of me. I collided with a solid chest, nearly falling to the ground, but a strong arm wrapped around my waist and pulled me against a warm, muscular torso. Electric tingles erupted everywhere our bodies touched. We both gasped and looked directly into each other's eyes. His eyes were a pale gray that seemed to pierce straight through to my soul. His skin was lightly tanned, giving him an almost luminous appearance. Dark brown hair fell in tousled waves across his head. His soft pink lips were full and slightly parted, looking so inviting and moist that they called to me. Mate, we whispered simultaneously, his voice deep and masculine. The only thing that shattered the moment for me was realizing that my mate was Hunter Alexander. His arms tightened, pressing me completely against his bare chest. Mine, he murmured possessively. Using his index finger, he tilted my head up so our eyes could meet. I felt incredibly warm, and his touch felt absolutely perfect. Lowering his head to my ear, he began gently sucking on my earlobe. I couldn't suppress a moan, which made him smirk against my skin. He pressed me back against the wall and began intoxicatingly kissing down my neck toward my chest. He started to lift my shirt, and I felt like I was floating on cloud 9. For the first time in my life, I felt truly alive. His hands trailed down my back as he lifted me up, and I wrapped my legs around his lean, muscular waist. He opened a door, and suddenly I found myself on a soft bed. I began moaning when Hunter started sucking on my neck where he would eventually mark me as his. His hands roamed freely over my body before finally settling on my breasts. My lips once more, he got up and began putting his boxers and sleep pants back on. I lay there frozen on the bed. Wasn't he supposed to say something to me? When he looked at me again, he sneered with disgust. What are you still doing here? Hunter snarled, revulsion clear in his eyes. Shocked, I just lay there motionless. Well, he drawled, why haven't you left yet? But I'm your mate, I whispered unsteadily to him, trembling slightly. No, you are not, he snapped at me. I jumped up and began crawling backward as fear radiated from me in waves. It was just a mistake, get the hell out of my room. The moon goddess wouldn't curse me with such a disgusting, pathetic mate like you. I, Hunter Blake Alexander, reject you, Savannah Rose Armentrout, he said, snarling at me. His eyes turned dark gold, showing how close his wolf was to taking control. Excruciating pain erupted in my heart as my wolf howled in agony from the rejection. Every movement I made caused my heart to pound with anguish. As quickly as I could manage, I got dressed and ran out of the room. Tears streamed down my face as I headed downstairs. I walked down the stairs to the basement, my sobs echoing in the silence. Opening the door to my cell, I sat down on my bed, crying softly into my hands. "You know what we should do?" my wolf whispered to me, her voice breaking as she felt the rejection. "It's time to finally make our life ours." I nodded my head, wiping away my tears. Sitting down at my desk, I took out 2 pieces of paper and began to write. "Dear Xavier, I'm so sorry for leaving you like this, Xav, I truly am. I never wanted to abandon you. You are the only thing in this pack that makes my life worth living. You were the one who always made me smile and laugh. I hope you understand how much you mean to me. You will forever be my little brother. Don't let anyone tell you that you're weak because you aren't, just like I told you this morning. You are funny, charming, handsome, and so much more. I will always be proud of you and whatever you become in life. I'm not leaving because of you, but because my mate rejected me. I knew this might happen, but I had no idea it would hurt this much. As a parting gift, I'm leaving you the necklace my parents gave me for my 6th birthday. I was hoping I would be here for your 10th birthday, but I don't think I could survive here until then. You will always have my love. I hope to see you again. I'll always love you and I'll always be proud of you, little man. Love, your sister. Savannah Rose Armentrout." I sighed as a single tear fell onto the page. I put it in an envelope and labeled it Xavier. "Dear Pack, I have no idea what I did to deserve the way you have treated me, but I've had enough. I am reclaiming my life. The final straw was my mate rejecting me. If you were to ask me why I would even consider leaving the pack, I would answer with, why not? My brothers can't even look at me, much less help me when I get abused by the pack members. Wait, no, you people shouldn't be called a pack. The definition of a pack is family and home, which this place does not and will never provide for me ever again. I hope I never see any of you again. Your faithful servant. Savannah A." I wrote "pack letter" on this envelope. After placing my final letter in its envelope, I started packing my clothes into an old duffel bag. I gathered all the money I had saved, which was about $50, and a debit card I had received when my parents died. It contained about $1,000 my parents had left me, plus another $2,000 I had inherited when my grandparents passed away. I quickly sent Bane an email telling him I would be joining him and his pack, then put my laptop into my duffel bag as well. I shouldered my duffel bag and headed upstairs. Going into the kitchen, I packed some food and placed the pack letter on the marble table. I headed upstairs to Xavier's room quickly before making my way out. When I reached Xavier's door, I felt a rippling pain run through my spine. I gritted my teeth, knowing that only my mate being with someone else could bring me this much agony. Tears flooded down my face. I straightened my shoulders and entered Xavier's room, trying to ignore the sounds coming from the room next door. Both my heart and my wolf's heart broke every time I heard moans from Hunter and his companion for the night. Closing my eyes, I entered Xavier's room, quietly walking toward the sleeping boy. Kneeling down next to the little man, I placed his letter on his nightstand. I slipped off my necklace and carefully placed it inside the envelope. I kissed his forehead, whispering, "I love you, little man," into his hair before standing up. Looking at Xavier, I felt deep sorrow about leaving him. He snored lightly and turned over, scratching his arm unconsciously. Smiling at him, I left. Walking out into the hallway again, the noises from Hunter's room attacked my chest like daggers. I closed my eyes and leaned against Xavier's door. Opening my eyes, I started walking again. I went to my old Acura and started the car, not looking back as I drove away from my sorrows and pain. I knew I would survive because I am stronger than them. Chapter 4. The next day, I reached the town Bane had described, and I was absolutely mesmerized by the breathtaking scenery. The sun was just rising and cast a beautiful red-orange glow across the lake. A gentle breeze rustled, swayed, and shook the leaves on the trees. Clouds reflected perfectly in the water, creating a dreamy illusion. It was the perfect sight to mark my first day of true freedom. I walked down the stone steps of the train station into the fresh, crisp air. A man with brown hair stepped out of a nearby car, and excitement bubbled up inside me as I ran toward him. When I reached him, I wrapped my arms around him and hugged him tightly. Tears began falling from my eyes as I cried against his chest. His arms wrapped around me securely. "Whoa, hey there, Speedy. I know I'm devastatingly handsome, but you didn't need to tackle me," Bane said jokingly into my hair, causing me to giggle slightly and loosen my grip around his waist, though I had no idea how I had ended up there in the first place. I rested my head on his shoulder and sniffled a little before letting go of his waist and wiping my eyes on the sleeve of my jacket. "Finally. I thought you'd never get here," he said with a fake pout on his face, his hands on my shoulders. Picking me up again, he spun me around, and I felt a brief flash of nausea before it disappeared. "You look far more angelic in person." I blushed at his compliment and looked down at my fingers, twiddling them nervously, a habit I developed. "You're a skilled liar," I told him, looking back up at him and giggling before looking down again. "No, I'm not," he said, tilting my chin up so I would meet his eyes. "You're absolutely gorgeous." I blushed as he took my bag and placed it in the trunk. "Here, come on. We have a long drive ahead of us," he said, opening the car door for me. "And I thought chivalry was dead," I said, joking with him. After talking to him through emails, I felt close to him. Chuckling, he got into the car as well. "It is dead, but why not resurrect it? A girl as dazzling as you should get to experience it," he stated charmingly, a grin spreading across his face. Another blush colored my cheeks, and my fingers began twiddling again. "The pack is really excited to meet you and get to know you," he began, starting the conversation. "My beta and third in command, Ethan and Cooper, almost got in the car with me to come pick you up," he told me, laughing. I wasn't laughing, though. My fingers began twiddling faster at the thought of meeting new people. "Are you certain that you want me in your pack? And that your pack is truly okay with me joining?" I questioned him softly, afraid of his answer. "Like I've told you before, we're thrilled to have you in the pack. No, ecstatic that you're joining us," he answered. "I know you've told me that your pack was abusing you, but what did they do to make you fear everyone and become so self-conscious that you have trouble accepting help, like you don't deserve it?" "Well, newsflash, Savannah, they are the ones who don't deserve you." His grip tightened on the steering wheel as an angry expression entered his eyes. I stared at him with my mouth open, shocked that someone cared so deeply for me that they became angry on my behalf. No one had ever stood up for me or gotten angry for my sake before. Tears burned behind my eyelids, but I refused to let them fall. I smiled at him as brightly as I could and answered him. "It doesn't matter anymore. I just want to forget everything and move forward with my life." The rest of the drive was spent in comfortable silence, both of us lost in our own thoughts. When we arrived at what I assumed was the pack house, I was completely stunned. The Blood Moon pack house was absolutely huge. "When you're finished admiring our pack house, you might want to see the inside too," Bane told me, chuckling. I sighed and then nodded my head. "Hey, are you, sir?" "Savannah. If I wasn't sure, or if I didn't want you in my pack, do you think you would be here right now? Do you think I would offer for you to stay with my friends and family?" Bane asked, interrupting me. I shook my head slightly in amazement. This was the second time he had stood up for me. He nodded and opened the car door, sliding out, then walked around to my side of the car and opened the door for me. "Well, come on. I have a room full of impatient wolves waiting to meet you," Bane said as we walked toward the entrance. Entering the house, no, mansion, took my breath away. The entryway was elegantly decorated in various shades of brown, blue, and white. Bane led me through the mansion to the living room where a group of people was waiting for me. Only one emotion was coursing through me at that moment. Apprehension. Apprehension because I was expecting hostile looks and glares, cruel comments, and violent hands, but all I encountered were friendly glances and genuine curiosity. "Savannah, these are some of the pack members," he said, motioning to two pale-haired, pale blue-eyed siblings. "These are the twins Cooper and Carter Smith." I nodded at them shyly, receiving warm smiles in return. "This is Ethan, my beta," he gestured to the tall, black-haired, dark-eyed guy who was smirking at me. "This is Kane, my brother," pointing out the brown-haired, brown-eyed boy next to him. Now motioning to the black-haired, green-eyed guy, "This is Mason, my third in command. Ethan is the only one besides me who's 18 years old. B. Mason is 17, the twins are 16 like you, and Mason is 17. Ethan and the twins are siblings. And everyone, this is Savannah Rose Romano." "Nice to meet you," I whispered quietly, looking down at my twiddling fingers. Suddenly, I was enveloped in a warm hug between two people. "We've always wanted a little sister," either Cooper or Carter said. "You are absolutely adorable." I didn't know what to say, but I had never felt so happy in my entire life. A tear rolled down my cheek, then another, and then another. One of them noticed my appearance and stepped back. "Hey, what's wrong?" one of the twins asked me. Ignoring him, I turned to Bane. "Hey, I think I'm going to take her up to her room," Bane mumbled, pulling me out of the twins' embrace. He wrapped his arm around me, leading me to a set of stairs. "I'll show you your room, Savannah." Bane led me to a baby blue door, my favorite color. Opening the door, I gasped in amazement. The room was enormous. A queen-size bed in black with white designs sat in one corner, with baby blue drapes hanging from the bedposts. The wall behind the bed was a beautiful cerulean blue. The furniture in the room was dark cherry wood, and a desk was positioned in another corner with drawing supplies arranged on it. My favorite part of the room was the balcony. I could see the lake sparkling in the distance and the entire forest spread out below. "I remembered that you like having a view," I heard Bane mumble to me shyly. I turned toward him and hugged him tightly. "Thank you so much, Bane. No one has ever cared this much for me." This time I wasn't crying, I was beaming with joy. "It's not difficult to be kind to a girl like you," I looked at him, confused. "You're intelligent, funny, witty, and beautiful." I blushed intensely and looked down. Suddenly, I chuckled a little. "You barely know me, yet you treat me better than my own family ever did. Strange, right?" Bane looked at me seriously. "No, it's not strange at all. Whatever they did or didn't do to you was wrong in every possible way. I'm sorry, it's just that no one has ever cared so much about me before," I mumbled into his shirt. He sighed and gently patted my head. "Well, I'll let you get settled and take a bath, but afterward, I'm taking you shopping," he said, changing the subject, which I was grateful for. "Okay," I said to him, picking up my bag from the floor and heading toward my bed. Looking back at him, I smiled warmly. "You have no idea what all of this means to me." He smiled slowly, then nodded and closed the door behind him. I straightened my back and began to unpack. Most of the clothes I had brought were torn and baggy, so I threw most of them away. I took one of my only good pairs of jeans and cut them up so they became dark blue shorts instead. I placed my white t-shirt next to them, grabbed my towel, and headed for the shower. After finishing my shower, I got dressed, placing my credit card and $50 in my back pocket. Shopping, here I come. Chapter 5. Bane took my hand and led me to his car. It wasn't until we reached the shopping center that it occurred to me that I had absolutely no idea what to do. I had never been shopping for anything other than groceries. I was completely out of my element here, and I was internally hoping that Bane would know what to do. However, my wishful thinking proved to be useless, since Bane was just as confused about shopping as I was. Clearly seeing how lost we both looked, a female sales assistant approached us with an eager tone, and I was relieved that at least we had someone who knew what she was doing. "Welcome to Y&I Clothing Boutique. How may I help you today?" she asked in a friendly manner while eyeing Bane with obvious interest, which made me feel uncomfortable because even though I hadn't known him for long, I already considered him a brother. I need some clothes for my friend. Jeans, shirts, skirts, dresses, jackets, shoes, the complete wardrobe," Bane told her. "Money isn't an issue." She became very excited at that statement and went to gather items for me. It wasn't long before she returned with an armful of clothes. My eyes widened when I noticed another girl also carrying an armful of clothes following behind her. My grip on Bane's hand tightened when they approached us together, feeling uncomfortable around these two strangers. "It's okay, Savannah. You'll be fine," Bane murmured to me as the girls led me into the fitting room. They organized the clothes into complete outfits and instructed me to come out and model them. My first outfit consisted of a white t-shirt with a gray scarf, jeans with decorative rips on one side, a brown leather purse, sunglasses, hoop earrings, and leather sandals. I stepped out of the fitting room, and the ladies gave me enthusiastic thumbs up, making me smile at their easy acceptance. We repeated this process with every outfit. They rarely rejected any of them, and before I knew it, we were making our way out of the store. "Thank you so much. Please come again," the assistant called after us, clearly pleased with the substantial sale she had made. After leaving the clothing boutique, we went to get school supplies for me. We also visited an office supply store and the Apple store, where I got a new phone, computer, iPod, and new accessories for my desk. The only thing I disliked about the entire experience was that Bane absolutely refused to let me pay for anything myself. "Hey, are you hungry?" Bane asked, turning his head toward me as we walked around the mall. I shook my head, not feeling hungry. I had eaten a slice of toast on the train with some water. He frowned disapprovingly. "I didn't want to bring this up, but you're far too thin. I wanted our pack doctor to examine you, but I thought shopping would help you relax and everything because, you know, you're a girl," he ended awkwardly. I couldn't help but laugh at the sheepish expression he kept sending my way. Bane grabbed my hand and brought me to the food court. After looking around, he led me to a Subway restaurant. We returned to the pack house not long after eating, and I had never felt so completely stuffed in my entire life. I must have fallen asleep sometime during the ride home because I woke up in my room. I still couldn't believe that I actually had my own room. Sighing contentedly, I snuggled into my bed, loving the soft, feathery feel of it. As I lay there, a million thoughts raced through my mind. What was my old pack doing right now? Did they even realize I was missing? Does Hunter miss me at all? Do my brothers miss me? And these questions led to even more questions. How will they survive without me? I had handled all of the taxes and bills, laundry, cooking, cleaning, homework, and every other domestic responsibility in that pack. How will they manage without me? A knock on my door pulled me out of my thoughts. "Hey, sleepyhead, are you feeling okay?" Bane asked, walking into my room and sitting on the edge of my bed. "Yeah, I just feel a little nauseous," I answered. He frowned with concern. "Well, the doctor's here to see you," he told me, looking me over worriedly. Facing toward the door, he said, "Come in." The man who entered my room was remarkably fair-complexioned. I'm serious, he had fair hair, fair skin, and even light blue eyes. He looked like a walking nightlight with arms and legs. "Hello, my name is Dr. John Gupta," he told me in a light voice. Seriously, where did this guy come from? Did aliens forget him here when they were collecting specimens? "Hi, my name is Savannah Armentrout," I greeted him half-heartedly, not in the mood to be examined and prodded. "I'll just be doing a routine checkup to assess your overall health," he began, just as Bane left the room. By the end of the examination, I felt thoroughly invaded. I had been poked and prodded in places I never even knew existed on my body. "Okay, Savannah, there's nothing seriously wrong. It's just that physically, your muscles are severely depleted and your body is completely exhausted," he said, sounding hesitant. "There is one more thing I need to do. I need a blood sample to check your blood pressure and other levels." Nodding my head, I extended my arm toward him. He produced a needle, and I thought I was going to faint at the sight of it. "You'll feel a small pinch, and then we're finished," he rambled a bit. "I'll have the results back to you tonight or tomorrow at the latest." "There you go," he said, placing a band-aid on the inside of my arm. "I'll take my leave now." He left, shuffling toward the door. I sighed and leaned back against the pillow as Bane returned to my room. "So, are you okay?" he asked, entering quietly. I nodded my head. The doc said, and I quote, "Physically your muscles are depleted and your body is exhausted," I recited. "And speaking of the doc, where did you guys find him?" "At Lightbulbs, US." Bane burst out with a booming laugh. "No, though he does resemble a human flashlight." I began laughing with him too. I heard a commotion outside and immediately went on high alert. The door burst open, and I was expecting Hunter and my brothers to storm in and drag me back to the pack, but what I wasn't expecting was 6 guys to charge into my room with a cart full of breakfast food, pancakes, toast, bacon, eggs, orange juice, and an enormous amount of bacon. I absolutely love bacon. I love bacon, even though when I lived with my former pack, I rarely got to eat it. "Welcome to the family," they chanted in unison. Tears gathered in my eyes, and a smile spread across my face. They wheeled the cart next to me. The twins appeared suddenly. "We're sorry about making," one said. "You cry," the other told me. Earlier, they finished together, looking at the ground with their hands scratching the backs of their necks, appearing nervous. I smiled at them warmly. "You two didn't do anything wrong. I'm just feeling very emotional right now," I told them in a voice that was barely a whisper. I looked down and intertwined my fingers. "It's okay. We're just happy that we didn't upset you," the twins said, sounding relieved. Why would they be relieved that they didn't upset me? I gave them a puzzled look. "It's because you're our sister now," Ethan answered from the doorway. He was leaning casually against the door frame, looking completely at ease. I looked at all of them in shock. I was their sister. They willingly acknowledged that. I gave them watery smiles. "Thank you, guys, for taking me in on such short notice and everything," I spoke to them. Bane stood up and was about to speak when Ethan interrupted. "It wasn't a problem at all. We genuinely want you to live with us. We helped Bane put this room together. All of us contributed." "Yeah," B. Mason chimed in. "Don't feel like a burden because you're not one. Bane has told us that you're an excellent cook. You can cook for us if it makes you feel better about being here. None of us can cook worth anything." Staring at them in amazement, I nodded, not knowing what to say to them. "Thank you. I really appreciate what you guys are doing for me. I owe you all so much." Carter or Cooper glared at me sternly. "You don't owe us anything, your family." Carter/Cooper wagged their finger at me disapprovingly. Nodding my head, I pulled back the covers to get up and noticed I was still wearing some of my old clothes. "Hey, what time is it?" "It's still Thursday the 15th, though it's 6 a.m. "You've been with us for at least 9 hours now," Mason answered, speaking for the first time since I had met him. "Really? It feels like it's been days," I said in wonder. They chuckled at me, causing a blush to color my cheeks. "Do you guys mind if I change really quickly? I want to get out of these old clothes." They nodded their heads and left the room. Chapter 6. Hunter. 5 a.m. Waking up with a splitting headache was nothing compared to waking up next to a perfume-soaked Shelley. Her garish hot pink nails were sprawled across my chest, where her hands had been touching me a few hours ago and where her head had been resting after we had made what she called passionate love. I felt completely hollow without her body pressed against mine. Staring at the ceiling, I wondered, why me? I had the worst luck imaginable. How could I end up stuck with Savannah Romano as a mate? Glancing at the clock, I decided, why not get an early start to my day? Reluctantly, I kissed Shelley's dry, makeup-caked lips and woke her up. "Hey Shelley, it's time to get up," I said to her. "Huh? What the hell, it's still way too early to wake up," she groaned unattractively. Pushing her away from me, I got up and headed toward my bathroom. "Hey baby, want to go another round?" she asked in what she thought was a seductive voice. Turning around, I glared at her with fury. "No, get out of my room immediately." I snarled at her, my eyes turning black with rage. "I want my mate," my wolf howled at me for the millionth time since I had kicked her out of my room and my life. "I want my mate." My wolf howled at me again. Shelley scrambled off my bed and out of my room as quickly as she could. Good, I thought. I couldn't tolerate her scent any longer. Why do women douse themselves in so much perfume? It's revolting. Our maid didn't wear any perfume, my wolf reminded me, remembering her natural cherry blossom and chocolate scent that made me aroused just thinking about it. Shaking that thought from my mind, I went to my bathroom to take a shower. Coming out of my shower, my thoughts were flooded with images of Savannah and our last and only night together. How could the moon goddess pair me with a mate like her? What had I ever done to earn her wrath? I mean, there was nothing inherently wrong with her except that she had gotten her parents killed and caused our pack to spiral into despair. I knew what we were doing to her was wrong, but stopping our mistreatment of her was like trying to turn off a switch that had been left on for far too long. Even though we had hurt her, mostly Shelley and her group of friends, we had kept her fed and alive. What more could she possibly ask for? She wasn't unattractive either, with her caramel wavy hair, blue-gray eyes, light tan skin, rosy cheeks, and pink lips that begged me to kiss them. My wolf and I began to get excited at the thought of her naked body next to ours. Halfway to the kitchen, I heard angry shouting and crying, which made me walk faster. What the hell was happening? The thought of them hurting my mate made both me and my wolf see red with rage. Walking into the kitchen, the least expected thing happened and my nightmare became reality. She was gone. I suddenly remembered that Savannah, my sweet mate, was gone. Chapter 7. 10 days later. I watched as they laughed and joked around with each other, poking and teasing one another, reminiscing about old times. Why did this scene bring me so much happiness? Was it because I was actually part of this? Well, I was cooking, but it was because I wanted to. Hey, Savannah, you know you don't have to cook, right? Mason asked, sitting on the counter next to me. Like B. Mason said, you're not a burden. I smiled at him somewhat shyly. I was still getting accustomed to them all. I know, but I love cooking, so please let me cook, I told him gently yet firmly. He smiled at me with a lazy look in his eyes. So, what are you making? He asked, looking over my shoulder. Oven roasted tandoori chicken, I told him. My former pack had loved spicy food with meat. Wow, never mind, you can cook whenever you want, he exclaimed, looking longingly at the chicken in the oven. I chuckled softly, which made him look at me in shock and surprise. A smile spread across his face. I'll leave you to the cooking. I better go check on the twins before they end up destroying something, he said, rolling his eyes. I smiled slightly. Maybe I would grow to love this place as my new home. Home was a strange concept for me, even though I had lived in one my entire life. No, that place was never our home, my wolf told me. Home is where you can be yourself without fear, pain, sadness, or emptiness. And that is all we experienced at that place. It was never home, it was our prison, and our jailers were our supposed family members. Even if their wolves never wanted to hurt us, they never stopped their human sides from causing us pain, she added pointedly. You're right, I responded to her. They were never our family. Grinning, I went back to work, enjoying the laughter flowing into the kitchen from the dining room. Here in my home, I feel like I belong. Putting on some oven mitts, I pulled out the delicious chicken and walked out into the dining room, smiling at the confusing yet amusing scene in front of me. Ethan was sprawled across 4 chairs looking half asleep, with a kitten curled up in his lap. Carter and Cooper were balancing on their heads, sticking their tongues out at each other. Mason was staring at them with a smile on his face, trying to help them get back onto their feet. Bane and B. Mason were running around trying to catch a small black, white, and gray Siberian husky, speaking to it like it was a small child. Guys, what are all of you doing? I asked cautiously. Everyone paused to look at me, and the poor puppy ran straight into the wall. Ethan's eyes popped open and rolled to meet mine. Tweedledee and Tweedledum over there, he said, pointing at Carter and Cooper, thought it would be a brilliant idea to get you a puppy as a welcome home pet, and got carried away and brought home this kitten too, he said, pointing at the still sleeping kitten. The twins bowed mockingly. Yes, you can always take more than nothing, they said in unison. That's the Mad Hatter's line, you dimwits, B. Mason told them exasperatedly. They just rolled their eyes in annoyance. Can we discuss the pets? I asked hastily, trying to get them back on track. Well, we knew you were really anxious about staying here and everything, so we thought that if we got you pets, you'd feel more at home, Bane answered before the twins could get a word in. My eyes widened in amazement. Did they really do this for me? My former pack didn't even give me birthday presents or even remember my birthday, yet these people I had just met, got me a puppy and a kitten just because I was afraid. A tear burned at the edge of my eye. Why? I asked. They looked confused. Why did you get me presents, a puppy and a kitten, when you barely know me? Because you deserve happiness, Mason answered without hesitation. What they did to you was wrong, no matter their reason for the abuse. You didn't deserve the treatment you received. I quickly set down the chicken. Tears streamed down my face as I went over to him and gave him a hug. At first, his body was rigid, then he relaxed and hugged me back. Thank you, I told him, sniffling slightly. What was wrong with my hormones? Someone cleared their throat behind us, breaking me and Mason apart. Looking behind me, I saw none other than Wonder Bread staring at me, shifting nervously from one foot to the other. Miss Romano, I just received your lab test results and would like to discuss something with you in private, he said uncertainly. Nodding my head toward him, I turned back to the guys. We'll talk about the pets later. They nodded their heads, and I began following E.T. out of the dining room to what I assumed was his office. Please have a seat, he told me, gesturing toward the 2 chairs in front of his desk. Warily taking a seat, I faced him, trying not to squirm in the chair. Your lab tests were acceptable, not great, but you're healthy. The scars on your body will never fade completely, unfortunately. Mentally, you're stable from what I've observed so far, but physically, you can't handle someone touching you unless you're the one initiating the contact. There is one more thing you need to know, although I have no idea how to tell you. That's when my fears started voicing their opinions. What if it's life-threatening? What if I have a disease? What if I have cancer? What if it's life-altering? What if? Miss Romano? Dr. Gupta's voice called my name worriedly. Are you alright? Yeah, I'm okay, I told him, clearing my throat. As I was saying, I have no idea how to tell you this, but you're pregnant, he told me cautiously. My heart stopped beating. I'm pregnant? My shocked mind kept repeating the word, pregnant. How? I stuttered, my eyes widening as the room began to spin. Calm down, Miss Romano, Dr. Gupta said, appearing suddenly right beside me. Deep breaths, in, out. He spoke, trying his best to calm me down. Miss Romano, please calm down, you being stressed isn't good for the baby, he emphasized. That statement got me to calm down, and my breathing leveled out. Now, Savannah, are you feeling better? I nodded my head. Do you know who the baby's father is? I nodded again, and my heart started pounding harder as I thought of Hunter. That's good. Now, you're only 1 week and 3 days pregnant. My eyes snapped to meet his. Is the baby okay? I questioned hesitantly. I don't know for certain, but I'll have to do an ultrasound to determine that. However, in my professional opinion, both you and your baby are perfectly healthy, he reassured me. I smiled at him with relief. Now that you know you're pregnant, you'll have to consider many things. First, calculate your due date. Since it's December 20th, I'm estimating your pregnancy will last until around July 20th. The second step is to prepare your body. That means eating healthy, making sure you're getting enough folic acid, starting prenatal vitamins, maintaining a healthy pregnancy diet, considering a pregnancy-friendly exercise routine, and trying to get plenty of sleep. Step 3 is to be prepared for early symptoms. That means fatigue, morning sickness, strange food cravings, sore breasts, and maddeningly frequent bathroom trips. And that's not even half of it, but I'm sure the guys who are not so patiently eavesdropping will take good care of you, he told me. My mind was spinning with all the new information, but the thought that dominated my mind was that I'm pregnant. My hand slipped to my abdomen. I couldn't wait to see my stomach grow with my baby, my mate's baby. No matter how much I despised him, I was surprisingly happy that I was carrying his child. It's only natural, Savannah, he's our mate, my wolf's voice popped into my head. I agreed with her, even though I didn't like it much. Then another question entered my mind. Am I going to tell Hunter? Do I even want him to know? I'll let you think about it, he told me gently, and congratulations. I sat in his small office thinking, hoping I could create a better future for my baby than I had experienced. Standing up, I returned to the dining room. The guys were pacing in unison. If I hadn't learned what I had learned only minutes ago, I would have been laughing at the concerned yet nosy expressions on their faces. I cleared my throat, bringing their attention to me. Bane and the twins snapped out of their pacing, worried stance and rushed to me. Are you okay? Is it deadly? How long do you have to live? Oh God, no, you're dying, aren't you? They babbled at me, running their hands through my hair and playing with my fingers while staring at me, looking for answers. I just stood in shock, my hand still pressed against my stomach. I'm pregnant, I said in shock. The room fell silent, the guys froze. Carter and Cooper's mouths dropped open. You're what? The twins said in awe. I looked down suddenly, afraid. What would they think of me? Would they think I was some promiscuous woman who slept around? They must think I'm a woman with nothing in my life other than sleeping around and looking for my next opportunity. Thoughts raced through my mind when a sharp pain ripped through my body. It was excruciating pain. I couldn't handle it. Booming shouts passed through the cloud of agony. I felt someone rubbing my forehead. It was warm, and it made me lean into it. But I could still feel the pain reaching dangerous levels, stealing my breath away. I was too hot, the fire burning brighter and brighter inside me. The only thoughts in my head were, is my baby okay? Breathing in deeply, I tried to ease the pain, but it got worse as it spread across my body, engulfing me in its fiery depths. Opening my eyes slightly, the images were blurry, all I could see were colors everywhere. The pain lasted for what seemed like hours, like it would never end. Chapter 8. The dark blanket of pain covered me in darkness, yet I could still hear people moving around me, and occasionally I would feel a concerned hand press against my forehead. My wolf was on edge, fearing for our unborn child. Savannah, are you okay? She asked in a motherly tone, which made me smile. She never let me feel alone. I tried to pry open my eyes, but they felt as though they were sealed shut. I felt a hand slip into mine, and I squeezed their hand, silently telling them I'm awake, I'm okay, don't worry. Hey guys, she's awake, hurry, the masculine voice shouted in a whisper, like he was trying not to disturb me. I heard someone rush over to me and place a stethoscope against my chest. Savannah, the other man spoke to me in a calming manner. Can you hear me? Squeeze my hand if you can. I squeezed his hand. Are you in any pain? Squeeze my hand once for yes, and twice for no. I squeezed his hand once. Trying to speak, nothing came out of my mouth. It felt as though I hadn't had anything to drink for days. Okay, now Savannah, I would like you to open your eyes very, very carefully, the man advised me. Slowly, I tried to open my eyes with as much effort as I could muster. As soon as my eyes opened, I was assaulted by bright lights. Lifting a weak hand, I covered my eyes, trying to block as much of the light as possible. Maybe the mothership came back for Yoda? Hold on, let me turn off the lights, one of the voices spoke. A few seconds later, I felt someone sit next to me, making the bed dip with their weight. The voices and scents of the people seemed familiar. I removed my hand from my eyes and took them in. Bane sat on my right side and Dr. Gupta on my left. Looking around, I noticed N4 attached to my arm. Oh, thank God you're okay, Savannah, Bane said, relief evident in his voice. I tried to say something, but my throat was too dry and nothing came out. He must have noticed because the next thing I knew, a cool glass of water was pressed to my lips. After finishing the glass of water, I nodded my head toward him in silent thanks and cleared my throat. What the hell happened to me? I asked, my voice raspy and cracked. Bain and Dr. Gupta looked at each other. Dr. Gupta cleared his throat. Miss Savannah, I will let Alpha Matthews discuss that with you later. But for right now, let's talk about your health. You and the baby are fine, but I would like for you to exercise regularly, and I've noticed that you have been eating more, so the only thing I have to say about that is to eat healthily. I nodded my head at him, indicating I heard him. Nodding his head in return, he left the room. Turning my head toward Bain now, I cocked an eyebrow. Lay it on me, Dr. Doolittle. Bain looked at me with eyes full of sympathy and sadness. Savannah, please tell me you won't cry after I tell you this, he pleaded. It'll hurt to hear this, but please don't be upset. You have to be strong for the baby. I nodded my head, almost afraid of what the answer would be. Just please tell me what it is, I whispered tiredly. Your mate, he had sex with someone else. Savannah, I'm so sorry, he told me. My whole body froze as pain rippled through me worse than it had before. I knew he hated me, but did he really hate me that much? To go so far as to have sex with someone else? I mean, I knew it would happen at some point, but I'd only been gone for 10 days. Was I that ugly? So damaged and hideous that he had to destroy our mate bond? Tears gathered in my eyes, trailing down my face. My mate had marked someone else. He was the one person who was supposed to love me no matter what, undeniably, and I him. He was the one person who was supposed to do anything and everything for me. He was the person with whom I would have my babies and share my life. But he wasn't. I dried my tears with the back of my hand, steeling myself. Right now, I felt completely numb. I turned my head toward the window, trying to bury my sadness and focus on the life that was growing inside me. I am going to fight for my baby. I am going to give him or her the greatest life I could possibly provide. Not turning toward Bain, I told him, can you please leave me alone? The room filled with silence. Sure, Savannah, whatever you need. Me and the guys will be here for you, he answered softly. As soon as he left, my mind went back to Hunter. I couldn't tell him, no. He wouldn't want anything to do with my baby. He'd abandon my baby like he abandoned me. I will not let my baby get rejected by him. I want nothing but love to be known by my baby. I will not let my baby go through the pain I went through. He wouldn't change his lifestyle for me, his mate, who loved him more than anything else in the world. What could make me think that he would change it for his child? Hell, I still love him. I hate that I love him. How could I love him even after he put me through all of this agony? No, I will keep my child away from him at all costs. Chapter 9. It had been 2 months since I discovered I was pregnant, and it was still difficult for me to believe. I wasn't permitted to leave my bed even once, except to wash myself or use the bathroom. Sometimes they would even allow me to cook if I felt up to it. I was eating regularly and gaining weight, and soon enough I had reached the proper weight for my age and pregnancy stage. As the bump on my stomach grew larger, the guys became increasingly protective of me. I looked like I was in my 4th month of pregnancy. Werewolf pregnancies only lasted 6 months compared to the human 9 months. And since I have beta blood and Hunter is an alpha, my pregnancy would only last 5 months. My wolf was more than excited about our pregnancy, which made me incredibly happy. She had stopped howling for our mate and focused all her attention on our baby, helping me keep our precious bundle of joy safe. After I experienced that excruciating pain almost every day, Dr. Gupta and Mason finally explained to me that it was because Hunter had been mating with someone else. As time went on, the pain lessened until I could barely feel it. That was the primary reason my wolf stopped howling for our mate. She finally accepted that our mate didn't want us. Never had. Her voice grew quiet and gentle until she only spoke when it concerned the welfare of our child. Both my wolf and I are extremely protective of our baby and will only allow people we know and trust to be near us. So far, that was only Bain, Mason, and Dr. Gupta. I'd gotten to know the guys and the pack much better through them. I was worried that they would think I was promiscuous and deserved the treatment I had received in my former pack, but in fact, they were overly protective of me and my baby and never allowed me to go anywhere alone without a pack warrior or two accompanying me. Thankfully, they didn't judge me for my situation and were genuinely welcoming, accepting me with open arms. Even Ethan would visit my room occasionally to talk with me. As for the pets the guys had gotten me, I really began to appreciate having them around. I had always wanted to get a pet before, and now I had two. They truly helped me when I felt lonely. Even the cat I named Ricky would curl up in my lap and purr to calm me down. Plus, I could imagine my baby playing with both of them when he or she was old enough. Today I was going to the OB/GYN to make sure my baby was healthy and developing properly. I was excited to have my pup, I just wanted it to arrive already. I had a new reason to live, and although he or she wouldn't have a father around, I would give them all the love they could ever imagine. Feeling something land on my bed, my sketchbook fell out of my hands. Come on. Come on. Come on. Carter whined, landing next to me. Yeah. We have to go to the doctor's appointment, Cooper also whined, landing on my other side. I sighed heavily. Come on. Come on. Come on. They shouted together, tugging on my arms gently. Rolling my eyes, I muttered, "Thank the moon goddess I'm not having twins," quietly. "We heard that," they said, glaring at me. I just smiled at them sweetly. I nodded my head at them and shooed them from my room, throwing on a satin floral tank top that stretched over my belly and comfortable leggings. Quickly brushing my hair into a bun, I slipped on my pink Vans. I stood in front of my full-length mirror, taking myself in, and started to chant to myself, "You can do this, everything will be alright. You can do this, everything will be alright." Smiling at my reflection, I exited my room as quickly as I could manage. Bane and Mason were waiting for me at the end of the hallway. Calling out a quick goodbye to the guys, we were on our way. "What took you so long?" "Ethan's been getting frustrated sitting in the car for so long," Bane told me, looking at me with concern. "I'm sorry, it's just that I'm really nervous," I sighed. "Don't worry, Lee, you'll be an amazing mom," Mason encouraged me. Bane nodded his head, smiling at me warmly. Smiling in return, I followed them to Bane's 2010 GMC Terrain SUV. Getting into the car, I buckled myself in, stretching the seatbelt over my growing belly. When my baby was born, I wanted him or her to have my surname, never Hunter's surname, Alexander. Finally, the car stopped at the hospital. It was a werewolf hospital since most of the people living in this area were werewolves. I was getting really anxious, worried about whether my baby was alright or not. Ethan must have noticed because he placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder in silent support. I smiled at him, feeling better. Ethan might be the quietest of the guys, but I appreciated the silent way he supported me. Even though my baby was unplanned, would never stop loving him or her, they would always be my first priority. Plus, I was never going to let my baby go through what I had experienced. We rode the elevator to the maternity section of the hospital. After checking in, we all sat in the waiting room, waiting for my name to be called. While in the waiting room, I saw a very pregnant woman with her mate's arms wrapped around her, smiling gently at her with eyes filled with unconditional love. I wished my life was like that. It would have been so much easier if Hunter had been here with me, if he loved me. Because right now, I was a pregnant 16-year-old without a job and without educational experience. Thankfully, Bane had arranged for a tutor for me, knowing I wasn't ready to attend school yet. At last, my name was called, and Bane got up with me as we walked through the door. We had decided that Bane would accompany me because he had a medical background and hoped to become a doctor someday. It would be a great learning experience for him. We took our seats as my new doctor, Angela Black, asked numerous questions about me. What's your daily routine, what do you eat, and so on. After finishing the questions, she led us to a cream-colored room with photos of babies scattered around the walls. There was a bed in one corner of the room with an ultrasound machine positioned beside it. Lying down, I pulled up my shirt so it was just under my bra. She touched my belly in different places, asking more questions. "Okay, we're ready for the ultrasound." The gel will feel a little cold at first, she said, putting on her gloves. Picking up a tube of gel, she squirted some onto my belly and rubbed it around before reaching for the wand. I looked at the screen expectantly, waiting to see my baby for the first time. Dr. Black moved the wand around, and finally I caught a glimpse of a head. Ah, there he is. He's quite mischievous, hiding like that, she chuckled. She glided it around before she stopped. Do you want to know the sex? She asked, looking back at me. Grinning at her, I nodded my head eagerly. It's a boy, she told me excitedly. The breath left my lungs. A boy? I whispered, a tear trailing down my cheek. I looked at Bane to see his face frozen in a smile. I'm having a boy, I said in an elated voice. I grabbed Bane's hand and gave him a radiant smile. I rested my head on the pillow, staring at the ceiling. We're having a baby boy, I told my wolf, happiness dripping from my voice. I was about to get up when the most cruel pain lashed up my back and then hit my lower abdomen. My hands wrapped around my stomach as tears streamed down my face. I knew it was Hunter, but normally when he was sleeping with someone else, the pain wasn't this harsh. Arching my back, I screamed. Seconds later, someone burst into my room and began wiping the sweat away from my forehead. I struggled for air, wrapping my arms more protectively around my stomach. I couldn't lose him, I couldn't. My wolf was howling in pain too, which confirmed that the pain had to have come from Hunter. Closing my eyes, I continued to scream in agony. Feeling someone place their hand in mine, I gripped their hand tightly as the pain rolled through me. Hearing someone shouting orders around me, I was hurting too much to be able to concentrate on the commands. After an hour of crying, the pain finally faded away. I was falling in and out of consciousness the whole time, and sometimes when it hurt more intensely, I would black out for a minute or two. After catching my breath, I tried to get up, but Bane wouldn't let me, saying I needed rest. Dr. Black came soon after to check on my baby. Thank the moon goddess he wasn't hurt, because if something had happened to him, I would have soon followed after him. Dr. Black had reassured me that the pain had only affected me, which I was very grateful for. Finally, she left me alone with Bane and B. Mason, who I think was the one who had offered me his hand. How are you feeling now? He asked me gently. Better now that I know my baby boy wasn't hurt, I told him truthfully. I didn't care what happened to me as long as my baby was safe. I rubbed my hand on my baby bump lovingly, looking back up at B. Mason and Bane. What happened to me? I asked them. I already knew it was serious, considering only Bane and B. Mason were here with me. I know you won't like this, no matter how much you hate him, Rosie. Oh no, he used my nickname. But this is going to hurt you, B. Mason started. But he marked someone else, Bane finished, looking at me with a grim, sympathetic expression on his face. I froze. Shock erupted into my body like an angry fire. I took a deep breath, the walls around my heart solidifying even more. Wiping my tears, I cleared my throat. I knew this was going to happen eventually, I told them. I got up slowly, my hands still wrapped around my waist. I walked outside to my balcony and sat there, staring at the colorful sky. It was truly a beautiful sight, but I couldn't make myself appreciate the scenery. The gentle breeze blew my hair as I closed my eyes. If I thought my life was difficult before, then I must really be weak. My wolf was crushed after learning what had really happened, but I think she knew beforehand. I knew I was never good enough for my family, but I didn't think I was so terrible that life itself hated me and treated me like this. But right now, the only thing I have to focus on is my baby and giving him the best life I could possibly create for him. Chapter 10. 2 weeks had passed since Hunter had marked someone else as his mate. As much as it infuriated me, I knew it was for the best. At least I wouldn't have to feel him having sex with other women anymore. In a way, Hunter had freed me. Hunter marking someone else had also propelled me into investing in a new restaurant. I had always loved to cook, so I thought, why not make it my career? It had been a whirlwind of 2 weeks. The money my parents had left me had purchased my new restaurant and all the decor. I placed my grandparents' money in a new bank account for my baby boy, which I would continue adding to when my restaurant became successful. He would never have to worry about money. The restaurant was finally ready. I had fallen in love with it the first time I saw it. Red brick walls on the outside gave it a rustic feel, while white and pink roses climbed the walls. The inside was modern yet still homey. Advertisements had gone out. Flyers had been distributed at every corner. Tables had been set, centerpieces artfully arranged. Tonight was opening night. "Stop it, you're making me nervous." Bane reprimanded me. "What if we run out of pasta? Do we have enough wine?" I questioned, ignoring his scolding. "Calm down, Rosie," B. Mason reproved me, plunking me down in a chair. "Yeah, everything. We'll be all right. Because you have us. Handsome devils. As your waiters." The twins chorused, striking a pose that made the guys roll their eyes. Mason handed me a tall glass of water that I drained in seconds. Since Dr. Black and Dr. Gupta had informed them of my poor health and pregnancy, they had been shoving carrots and celery sticks into places I didn't even know existed. "I should go to the front and greet the guests," I said, getting up only to be directed back into my seat again. "Not like that," Ethan gestured to my white chef's jacket and black jeans. "Right, my clothes are in my office." "I'll go change first," I spoke sheepishly, getting up and moving to my office. Walking into my office, I quickly slipped on a nude tank top and pulled up a flowery skirt with gladiator sandals. I was going for comfortable. I took a deep breath and went to the front. The restaurant could easily seat about 40 people comfortably. Walking out, I saw people laughing and chatting. Children were running around with parents shouting at them to sit down. More than half of the tables were full. In this moment, I felt so accomplished. I had never felt this way before. Seeing some people from the pack, I made my way over to them. Madison, Derek, and I had quickly become friends. They already had 2 children, a boy and a girl named Amy and Luke. They were twins. Derek and Madison were mates and had been together since high school. Madison was 23 while Derek was 24. "Hi, Derek." "Hi, Madison. How are you guys doing? Where are Amy and Luke?" I asked as I slipped into a chair across from them, my hand automatically curling protectively around my baby. "We're doing great. My parents offered to watch the kids this afternoon so we could come out and see your restaurant," Derek told me. "Yeah, Savannah, this place is simply beautiful. Every table is full. You look so happy." Madison's eyes were wide and joyful. "The food is delicious, by the way." "Thanks. I used the guys as taste testers, not that they minded," I told her jokingly. "She's not kidding. I've never had so much pasta in my life," Mason said, popping out of nowhere and placing a plate of dessert on the table. Derek and Madison laughed while a blush grew on my face, and I gave Mason a small smile. "Anyway, how's your little cherub doing?" Madison asked, her eyes shifting to my baby bump. "Good, the doctor says everything's fine," I told them. "When are you going to tell us if the baby's a boy or a girl?" Derek asked me. "No, I decided to keep it a secret," I answered, laughing. "But Bane knows," Madison whined childishly at me. "That's because he was there with me, plus I needed someone to do the heavy lifting and help me put my nursery together," I told them conspiratorially. They laughed at my wide-eyed expression. "So you've bought your house yet?" Madison asked. "Yeah, I did," I said, nodding my head. We talked a little more about my new house. I had found it last week, and Madison had helped me decorate it. The back of the house had huge windows facing the forest. The kitchen was in the back where I could cook and admire nature. The kitchen was enormous, with a wide-open layout featuring a breakfast nook and professional-grade appliances, white cupboards, and black granite counters. A huge living room with big, comfy furniture to just sprawl out on. It also had 3 bedrooms upstairs. One was the master suite, another was a nursery, and the last room was going to be a playroom for my little bean. A drawing room for me downstairs. A huge master suite with a fireplace that extended through to the bathroom as well. A big closet with built-in dressers and storage. And the bathroom had big double sinks, a huge shower big enough for more than one person with multiple shower heads. And a huge jacuzzi tub big enough for 4, facing the backyard with a huge window to look out of. Can you just picture it? Laying in the tub while overlooking the forest with a fire in the background. The master suite had a set of French doors leading out to a deck. The bed was wood with iron intertwined in the headboard, footboard, and the finials. It had black and white sheets on it. I couldn't wait to start my new life with my baby there. The only thing left for me to do was decorate the nursery. Bane had agreed to help me with the furniture. I was going to paint the room myself. For once, my life felt right on track. Chapter 11. Hey Savannah, the food's awesome. I love your fettuccine carbonara. You taught your boys well. It's delicious, but I love yours the best, a pack member told me as I passed by his table. I gave him a warm smile. It had been 2 months now since I opened my restaurant. The guys had banned me from working at the restaurant since I looked like a bloated whale. I had saved up a lot of money from my restaurant and was now thinking of opening another one after my baby boy was born. I was due in a week or so now. I couldn't wait to hold my bundle of joy in my arms and watch him grow. The guys and the rest of the pack members had been trying to figure out the sex of my baby for a while now, and only I, Bane, and Dr. Black knew I was having a boy. The guys were terrible at investigating. My puppy Maddie crashed into my legs, making me lose my balance for a second, my heart beating wildly. Bane came running into my office with Ricky, my kitten, in his arms. Oh, sorry, Rosie. I tried to stop him, but he was just so excited, and oh God, are you okay? I'm so sorry. What if you fell and couldn't get up? Oh, I didn't mean that, you're not a turtle. What if you or the baby got hurt? I would never forgive myself. Are you okay? Bane rambled frantically at me while his eyes roamed my body, looking for any signs of injury. Ever since I had entered the last stages of my pregnancy, the guys had each taken a different approach to help me. While in reality, it just got on my nerves. Ethan had taken on the silent protector persona and hardly let me out of his sight. B. Mason had become so helpful that he became unhelpful. Cooper and Carter took me shopping whenever they could to get me ready for the baby, to the point that I almost began having fantasies about killing them creatively, mostly with a shopping bag or their credit card, whichever was closer. Mason would read me baby books and watched what I ate like a hawk. He wouldn't even let me have one square piece of Hershey's chocolate. Do you have any idea how difficult it is to not eat chocolate for 2 months? Very difficult. And Bane had become a rambling idiot whenever he got near me. I wondered how Hunter would have acted if we were together and if he loved me. As soon as that thought entered my brain, I shoved it out. It's okay, Bane. It wasn't your fault, I said, trying to soothe him. No, it's not, you could have. I could have fallen and not gotten up again. Or what if the baby and I got hurt? I know what could have happened, but it didn't, right? So why are you so worked up? I said, interrupting another Bane ramble. Bane sighed and nodded his head. Now, are you okay? Are you sure you're not going to have another Bane ramble? I asked him. Bane nodded his head sheepishly. Aren't I supposed to have the ramble attacks and meltdowns? I asked Bane jokingly. He laughed and shook his head. Come on, smartass, I'm dropping you off at your house today. I'm on duty, Bane told me. Ever since I had bought my house, the guys had been taking shifts, so one of them was always there with me in case something happened. Well then, chauffeur, let's go, I said, me and my big belly leading the way. As usual, we took Bane's Audi Q7. We climbed into the car, Bane helping me buckle my seatbelt around my large stomach, and made our way to my house. So how was work? Bane asked. Good. I'm kind of tired, actually, even though I didn't do anything but talk with the customers, check up on the chefs, waiters, and sous chef. I tapped my chin thoughtfully. Oh, and I looked into my financials and how much I earn at the Sanguinum Luna. I can open up another restaurant. I told him excitedly. What are you going to name the new restaurant? Bane asked. Oh, I was thinking of naming it Concilium. You know, Romano in Latin. I told Bane my idea. That's good, he told me, smiling. The pack loves that you named your first restaurant Blood Moon in Latin, he told me. I smiled back at him, happy that I had made my pack happy. Awesome, but can you step on it? I'm so sleepy, I groaned, resting my head back. See, I told you. You don't have to work. We have plenty of money for the pack, Bane stated. How many times have I told you, I want to be a part of the Sanguinum Luna, I rebuked him. And that it's your restaurant, you have responsibilities, blah, 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 Bane shot back at me. Shut up, I muttered, my eyes already closing. You know I'm right, Bane retorted. I didn't want to argue, so I just stayed silent. I was passed out by the time we reached my house. I felt Bane's hands sliding around my back and legs, holding me bridal style. I had always wished to be held this way, though in a different situation, by a different person. Calmed by Bane's familiar stride, I was engulfed by darkness again. It was a Monday morning, I was 11 at the time. The all-too-familiar feeling of piercing cold water crashed into me, hitting me in a harsh and painful wave. The glacial water quickly soaked my thin t-shirt, sweatpants, and bedding as the feeling of my skin burning from the shock of cold caused me to gasp and lurch with fear and agony. Get up. I didn't bother to respond. They pretended not to hear any words that passed my lips anyway, so why bother? It felt like it had been forever since anyone had acknowledged anything I had said. Am I alive? If I am, please kill me. I don't know how long I'd last, I whispered to my Luna. This is no way to live a life. The usual morning greeting had my head spinning and my body tingling. I carefully pulled myself up, trying to make sure my face didn't show any emotion. It just made them more violent. The pack teenagers had just gotten back from school. My head was bowed as they were laughing and smiling. When was the last time I smiled? The thought made me frown, but I regretted not having better control of myself when it got me unwanted attention. What are you frowning at, freak? My brother Aaron sneered at me as Adam's hand came in contact with the back of my head. The force made my head snap downward, coming in contact with my chest, making a horrid snapping sound. Ah, is the freak ignoring us? My twin brother Axel cooed at me, brushing off my pain. Again, I didn't answer, knowing he only wanted silence from me. Aaron pushed me down as the rest of the pack members crowded around us. This always happened after school was out. They got bored. My head bounced off the wooden floor of the living room. He didn't look fazed at all and looked at me with disgust. When he saw what I was wearing, the emotion in his eyes intensified, making my throat close up with emotions. Will you get off the floor? Hunter spat at me. I flinched, feeling his spit land on my face. Aaron, Adam, and Axel left me again. How many times would they leave me to get beaten? Aaron, please don't leave me. I'll be good, I promise. I pleaded to him. He only shook his head in disgust. Am I so horrible that my own brother can't even stand to be in the same room as me? I questioned my wolf, but got no reply. My wolf was already weak and withering in pain. The rejection from my family members only nurtured her pain and self-loathing. Shut up. You worthless whore. Mariana screeched at me, kicking me in the stomach as I tried to stand up. Her bright pink high heels harshly stabbed me in the chest. You're nothing but an ugly bitch who doesn't deserve to live, she said as she continued to tap dance on my abdomen. No, don't believe what they tell you, they're only trying to break us, my wolf said in a weak tone. Even though she was in pain, she was still trying to lift my spirits. We're beautiful, they know that, and you should too. Rough hands dragged me to the stairway and shoved me down. My head hit all of the steps as I went down, and I let out a cry of pain. I heard laughing from every direction, then felt someone start to repeatedly kick my stomach until I started coughing up blood. I screamed out, feeling a sharp object rip through my back, echoing its action repeatedly. I yelled out loud as my back arched in pain, lifting off the ground to move away from the object, but it followed, slashing at my back endlessly, repeating its motion again and again. Soon enough, I didn't even feel the pain. I couldn't hear. Then it all came back, breaking the barrier of ice and releasing an inhuman cry to escape from my lips. They laughed even harder, hearing and seeing my pain. I pried open my left eye to see my brothers standing there with the rest of the pack, laughing at me. That's what hurt me the most, knowing that my brothers saw what they did to me but didn't even care. I lay there feeling the raging pain ripple through my body, paralyzing me. "Savannah, are you okay?" Bane's deep baritone voice asked. His voice was laced with worry, and I knew something bad had happened, knowing that he used my real name and not my nickname. What happened?" I whimpered out, sweat bathing my body. "You don't remember? You were screaming your head off. I thought you were in labor, and all I could think was, holy hell, I'm not ready for this. I came running up here to see you thrashing around your bed while asleep. Then I ran up to you and woke you up, and here we are," B. Mason told me quickly. Any other time, I would have laughed at his cuteness, but right now I felt like crap. Looking over his and Bane's shoulders, I saw that all of the guys were here, anxiously waiting. "Don't worry, it was just a bad dream," I told them softly. "Are you sure?" Mason asked worriedly. "Yeah, because we got some mint chocolate chip ice cream with your name on it." Cam and Carter told me, their eyebrows furrowed together in worry. "And I have a new drawing pad for you," Ethan offered. "I'm fine," I mumbled to them. "But I still want the ice cream and drawing pad," I told them with a mock-serious face. They all laughed. Since I had found out about my pregnancy, I had been drawing things for my baby. Bane and I had finished my baby's room a week ago. I had chosen all-white furniture for the nursery with light blue walls. The wall where the crib was positioned, I painted with the 7 wonders of the world in black and white. I wanted my baby to see the world and thrive in it. The trim was also white. I painted birds on the ceiling and baby animals on the wall where the crib was. After I was done with the nursery, I still had drawing and painting fever, so I kept on creating art. "Help me get up, guys. I want to sit in the living room," I told them, lifting my arms up. "Cooper, Carter," Ethan commanded them. "Yes, big brother dear," they mocked while helping me up. As I took my first step, I felt wetness run down my legs. I turned my head toward the guys, my voice laced with excitement and fear. "I think my water just broke." Thank you for listening to this part of the story. Like, share and subscribe for part 2.